is TK Irish. Yeah. You can see we're decorating here at Camp KENNERK. We're getting into the festive holiday spirit. So this is just the beginning. Can't tell you what's going to happen next because, well, quite frankly, I don't know what's going to happen next. But I tell you what, though, we've had some great football this weekend. It's been sort of an abbreviated week because of all the playoff games. But we did have a lot of excitement, some great games. The Camp Kinner Football Conference teams looked like there's going to be maybe four of our teams are going to be in the playoffs. The only one that seems to be in jeopardy is Douglas's Texas Longhorns, but he'll talk more about that later. So, it's the holidays. Everybody loves to sit around and look at the old cookbooks and figure out what's the old family favorites going to be. So I did that the other day. I went to, and I got this old cookbook I've had for many, yeah, probably when had my first apartment. And I ran across this recipe. And I want to share it with you because this is something as I remember as a kid, my mother used to make all the time, and it was just very popular. And this is for popcorn dressing for your turkey. So what you do, first of all, you take the bird, big turkey bird, make sure it's thawed. You season it, salt, pepper, paprika, whatever you want to do. And then you take 2 cups of unpopped popcorn and you put it in the cavity of the bird like you would a dressing. You set your oven for 300 degrees, preheat it, make sure it's nice and hot. You put the bird in the oven, and here's the great part. You don't have to set the timer because how do you tell it's done? It's when all the popcorn starts popping out of the turkey's butthole. So you can see it's been very popular, and please don't try this at home. I'd hate to you waste the good popcorn and the turkey, but it's a great story. And you know how things are around Camp KENNERK. Everything revolves around the story. So that's a little family story that we love to tell around the dinner table. We got some, people who've not been with us for the holiday, which we call fresh meat because they never heard any of our stories. So we're looking forward to that. I don't know who we're going to use this joke on, but I'm sure we'll use it several times. And Douglas, I mean to tell you, first of all, let's get our cup of coffee.
TK, it is so good to see you. And yes, I do have my cup of coffee right here. A little get up and go, Joe. Mm-mm-mm. And I want to let you know that I am back from my road trip. And I think we have a little video here from my road trip. And let's go to that right now. TK, I was so happy we did that Happy Camper interview with Robbie D, who said she was from San Diego. I decided to go to San Diego, but I took the wrong bus. I'm here in San Diego, Texas, at the Duval County Courthouse. I am here in San Diego, Texas.
Douglas, how do you come up with this stuff?
Oh, it's never dull around here. DTN, DTN. And since you're coming up with some jokes, I have found the joke just for us. Just for us. Okay? And let me tell you, and I just heard it on my road trip. All right? You are Irish, very proud. I am Scottish. Very proud. I'm connected to 3 different clans with my name. Okay, so I'm very Scottish. So this joke is about an Irishman, that is TK Irish, and Doug the neighbor. Okay, let me set it up. Here it is. There's an Irishman living in a house, and he is removing some wallpaper. Next to him is a Scotsman, and he is removing some wallpaper. What is the difference? Okay, One, two, three. What's the difference? You got the answer? No, you don't
Yep.
have the answer. Okay. The Irishman is remodeling. The Scotsman is so cheap, he's moving.
There's a lot of truth to that, Douglas. There's a lot of
Oh,
truth.
yeah. Well, the Scottish motto is we don't pay.
Yeah. How
Anyway,
much?
yeah, we don't pay. We don't pay. Anyway, so anyway, that is my excuse me, Scottish Irish joke and the little video of my road trip here in Texas. It was a beautiful time, had a great lot of fun. But let's get on to why we're here and every uh, male, female who's a sports fan around the galaxy at why we are here at Camp Kennerk for this podcast this morning. Are you ready?
I am ready. Fire it up, baby.
Okay, this is week 14 of the Camp Kennerk College Football Conference, and the season's basically over now. It's over. So this is the recap of where we're at. Now, to begin with, out there to explain to our new listeners, we created the Camp Kennerk podcast college football conference out of our love of the old Southwest Conference. But now it's all been broken up because of greed, TV, just nonsense, basic nonsense. And the thing that we loved about the uh, Southwest Conference is it's you could have rivalries that were close to you. So you could go visit your pals for a game, or you could they could come to you and you could have some barbecue, you could have some fun, bust chops, and it would be an annual thing. Now the conference is broken up. It's just a mess, and so lost rivalries, and it just breaks our heart. So we created the Camp Connor podcast, college football. Now, starting out in the West, Texas Tech, okay, they're now in the Big 12, which has 24 teams in it or something. I don't know. Who knows how many teams in it? It's just miserable. Okay. Well, they played BYU in the Big 12 championship. And my neighbors, Brent, and Tina, went to the game that was there in Dallas and Jerry World. So they had a great time. And Tech beat BYU 34-7. So Tech ends the season 13-0. Congratulations. That's perfect. 13-0, undefeated season. Or no. They ended up 11, 12-1, right? 12 and because they had a loss. I'm sorry. Yeah. 12-1. Okay, 12-1. Okay. Then going east to back to Fort Worth, TCU is in the Big 12, and they ended the season at 8-4. SMU in Dallas is in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and they ended up at 8-4. Baylor is in the Big 12, and they ended up at 5-7. Now let's get to Texas here in Austin. They ended up at 9-3. Okay. And then but the game was that the last game of the season, they beat the Aggies, and that's Aggies had an undefeated season, so the Aggies ended up being 11-1. So winning season for the Longhorns because they beat the Aggies. Longtime rivalry. Now they're playing in the SEC. So first time since 2010 or something like that. So now, and in the SEC championship game, Georgia beat Alabama. Now, what I don't understand is how Alabama and Georgia got into the championship game. I just don't know the stats on that when the Aggies were 11-1. So
Yeah.
I don't get it. How they end up there? Because I think some Georgia was 12-10. I don't know. I just don't care about it. I just
Yeah.
don't care. Okay, so Rice, of course, the original cream puff. Let him get back to fixing my computer. Send over a guy, a geek squad, fix my computer. Fix our podcast when it goes all squiggly and staticky and.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Douglas, because I was thinking about, because we lose our streaming, I get this message saying unstable connection. And for the longest time, I thought they were talking about us. I didn't realize it was about the computer. So I kept thinking, well, of course Douglas and I have an unstable, you know, but me, I gotta call my tech boys in here and they explained to me that it wasn't you and me that was unstable.
Yeah.
It was the computer.
Well, thank God for Kevin the Magnificent Computer Dude.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And so, any of these Rice people who are sitting around doing nothing, and we call that the Brain League, Rice, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, US, Stanford or something, I don't know, whoever they are, the brain people, come fix our computer. You
Yeah.
know, Come fix our unstable condition. You and I know how to fix it. It was called a bear. Hey, you want to get a bear? Hey, you having a good day? You want a bear? Yeah, you did good. Buy that cowboy a bear. We know how to fix the situation. That's why we should probably have a little sideline business of therapy.
Well, Douglas, I wish they would just change the phrase unstable connection. I mean, there's other words that they could use, like, hey, you have a glitch in your system. Or, maybe you could say,
Yeah, but that's easily solved with X-Lax.
okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah.
It's kind of simple. When I first got here and started going to my doctor, it was called something something Austin Senior Medical Center. Okay, so that was kind of interesting, but I hated going there because it says I'm an old guy. Why doesn't that say Austin Sports Center? Something like that.
Yeah.
They actually changed it to WellMed or something like that. But anyway, let's continue on. Oklahoma State, well, they were so bad they fired Mike Gundy and they brought in somebody new. And now let's go on to the teams that we care about. Arkansas is in the SEC, and they ended up being 2-10. So
Yes.
they go into the Camp Kennerk podcast outhouse.
Well, and in Arkansas, that's not uncommon because they have a lot of outhouses. Have you ever
So they know
been
what
through
we're
there?
talking about.
Yeah, exactly. They'll say, "Oh, okay, yeah, outhouse. Yeah, that makes sense."
They're in the outhouse because they're the worst.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, in the SEC, Oklahoma in the SEC, they're 10-2, so they had a decent season. And now getting on to the teams that are close to our heart. Notre Dame, which is an independent league, they ended up with a season of 10-2. That's pretty good.
Oh, it was a great season for them, and they lost both games just by a couple points, and that
Yeah.
was the last play of the game.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah. So now UTEP, my school, the University of Texas, El Paso, and when I went there back in the old days, before the pyramids, it was the Texas Western College. They're in the Conference USA this year, and they want to change it next year or the year after. So something else or something else or something else. And I've expressed my opinion concerning the UTEP football program over the years, and now's not the time for it. Okay, I've already done it, so let's move on. But they ended up with 2-10, so they are in the outhouse. But basically, what we can do is we just build a two-holer so that accommodates everybody.
now that's thinking ahead, Douglas. That's the reason why I like working with it because you got things going on.
Well, it saves a few bucks. They deserve to be in the outhouse. There's two of them in there, so put it in a two-holer. That's not the, I stayed awake at some of my classes, TK. All right, so now we're following North Carolina because of the legendary coach, Bill Belichick, formerly of the Patriots, and just a legendary coach. he went and he started retired for a couple of years and started at North Carolina. That's in the Atlantic Coast Conference. He ended up the season at 4-8, which is kind of interesting because the last he was doing real well, and then the last couple of games they went south. So everyone's probably going to deride Bill Belichick, but I think he did okay. He got the program started, and there was a couple of close games. So now Kevin, our magnificent computer dude, he likes the Oregon Ducks, and why does he like them?
The uniforms.
He likes the colors. Good enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
They're in the Big Ten, which I just found out has 42 teams in it. Is that
The
right?
Big Ten has 40. It could be. I mean, those teams multiply like rabbits. So you never know until the season starts.
Yeah. Well, they ended up being 11-1. So that decent season, and they lost they were 11, they were 10 and well, they were 11-0, and then they lost to the Washington Huskies, right? No,
Yeah.
or I can't remember who it was. Anyway, so no, to Ohio State, right? Yeah, Ohio State. So anyway, now let's move on to the Indiana.
Oh,
Yes. You've been waiting all podcast. Here it is. They're in the Big Ten. And last night, both of us watched the Indiana Ohio State game. And Indiana won. What was it? What was the score? 13-10. Yeah, 13-10. And they win the Big Ten championship in the first time in years and years and years. Now, I want to highlight two plays during the game, and then I'll let you enjoy your moment. Two plays that I thought were just the winning plays. Now, there's great football in the game, but the first play that I thought was the saving play was when they were on like they were 4th and 1 down on the Indiana end of the game, end of the playing field, and uh,
yeah.
the
Yes.
quarterback did a quarterback sneak, and his knee went down.
Yes. That was pivotal. There's no doubt about that changed the whole dynamics of the game, because first of all, Indiana played tough inside the red zone. They
Yes,
uh, they really did, and that was just one of those situations that your foot slips, knee touches the ground, and you're out of there.
and they had roll, and the Ohio State had moved all the way down the field. I mean,
Oh
they
yeah,
were on the roll. They were by the look of it, they were going into the end zone. They were going in,
yes.
but his knee touched the line, went down, so they didn't get the 4th and 1. That was a key moment. And then the other one that I'd like to highlight was the field goal from about 35 yards out, and it went wide left
Oh, what a heartbreak.
for
You
that poor
know,
kid. That poor kid. Yeah,
poor kid, he's going to be harassed for the rest of his life.
rest
Wide
of
left,
his
wide left. And you
life.
know what? We've talked about this before. If you want to criticize him, you get out there and try it. You
Oh
go out
yeah,
there, 100,000 people, and kick a football.
right, right. And Indiana had a quick kick that went wide. Did it go right? They had a kick that went wide, but then the Ohio State kid, when he kicked it, would have tied the game.
Yes.
So that's how close it was. And he's moving out of the state.
He's already gone. They packed his bags up and they shipped him out with no forwarding address.
No. Yes.
I bet you I know where he's living. He's probably living in Bloomington. I bet you some alumni there just ran over to his house, packed up his bags, and shoved him over to Bloomington.
Free rent.
Oh yeah, he won't have to buy a dinner for the rest of his life.
But oh, the heartbreak of that. Oh my God. Oh my God. But now he can finish his football career and move on and enjoy life, enjoy a portion of life, Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, and then following our guy Tom CeeLo, they only played 10 games in their season, and the Lycoming Warriors there in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, they ended up being 5-5 or 5-6 because they lost the championship game. But Tom CeeLo, 58 years old, that's pretty much his season. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll realize I had a lot of fun, but I don't want to do this again. 3 more years.
Yeah, the Monopoly may have worn a little thin towards game 9 and 10, as we both know that
Yeah.
it can get very, very difficult.
Or his wife finally came to him and said, "I told you so." As his knees swelled up like that, ended up on laying back, and his jaw is kind of lower like this. And then his wife's looking at him and said, "That was a 17-year-old that got you." Yeah. Tell me again what you want to do next year.
Mhm. Well, we'll
So
see.
TK, so TK, that's the uh, Camp Kennerk College Football Conference, week 14, our final week. And then the whole aspect of the DTN numbers, doing things by the numbers, and the spirit of Moneyball. I chose two games this week, uh, Tech and BYU, because that was the Big 12 championship, and both teams were doing well. And the numbers lined up is we take the average yards per game plus points equals a number, and because football is about moving the ball and scoring points. So we take BYU average points per game plus points equals this number. Texas Tech average yards per game plus points equals this number, and the difference is 205 points. Now, using my ratio of more than 60 points equals two touchdowns, more than 50 points equals one touchdown, and one more than 40 points equals a field goal, 3 points. Okay. All right. So the numbers line up, and Tech, through numbers, had more numbers. They had 205 more numbers than BYU, and they beat them 34-7. So by more than two touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it worked. Okay. Oh, and did I tell you my neighbors Brent and Tina went to the game? So they're floating on ice. They went to the Dallas up to Dallas and went to the game. I won't be able to talk to them forever, or they won't shut up. So this is the way it is. Now the other game is your game, where Ohio State and Indiana, and Ohio State had average number of yards of 438 per game, plus 444 points, which gives us this number of 882. And Indiana had 483 points or yards per game. I'm sorry, plus 532 points. A lot more points that they scored. And the difference between these two numbers is 133 points. So Indiana, by the numbers, is the winner, and they did. They did win. They did win. So I was 100% here, and for the season, I ended up being 50%. The numbers show that 50% correct.
That's very interesting, Douglas. Yeah, 50% is a great number for anybody who's into risk taking and gambling, because you know, people, place bets on emotion, or everyone's got their own little rhythm or system of how they figure out who the favorite team is going to be. But you put the numbers together. I think that Thomas Edison or Albert Einstein said you could solve any problem in the world with numbers. So you just did it, Douglas. You solved all the problems with numbers.
And hang on just a second. My coffee's hitting. If that means 10 over the total vote. Yeah. Yeah, it's 50%. Okay. Hang on a second. I need a little sip of my coffee to get the brain waves going. Mm. So just by numbers, 50%, So, and I'll have to look at what I had done last year, which I have those stats someplace because I keep my stats. Why do I do it? Got to keep busy, man. Got to keep that noodle working, you know. So TK, beautiful, beautiful season. Today, I will think that the bowl selection committees and all the 400 other bowl games choose up the teams. So we'll know more next week because the bowl season starts next Saturday. And when we chat on the 14th, Sunday morning, we'll have some interesting things. But that pretty much concludes the Camp Kinnerk College Football Conference. Arkansas and UTEP are both in the outhouse. Uh, and we've got some very interesting situations. Tech's moving forward. The Aggies are moving forward. Indiana's moving forward. It's very, very interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
Notre Dame's moving forward.
it's been a very exciting season. And of course, going into the playoff system, the expanded 12-man format, what was it, 12 game format, I guess is
Yes.
what it is always going to be controversial.
Oh,
But
yes.
it gives the opportunity, like what happens in March Madness. You
Yep.
got a school that doesn't know that they're supposed to lose. They come out with a
Yes.
chip on their shoulder and they say, "Who are you guys? You're ranked number two? Let's get out of here." And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens. And so that's what I'm looking forward to is the Donnybrook of the underdog coming in and slapping some people around.
Yes. And the whole thing of what we believe of playground justice. There were how many? There were six 11 and 0 teams. There were eight 10 and 2 teams, but there were only two teams that were 12 and 0, Ohio State and Indiana. So, first time in 200 years that 12 and 0 teams were playing, even though it's in their conference championship. But that is the game of the season
Yes.
because 12, they're playground justice, two teams that are 12 and 0. There you go. There you go.
So
Game of
now,
the
so now the slate's clean,
yeah.
everything's wiped off the blackboard, and they say, let's start it all over.
Well, it becomes mild entertainment because with playground justice, you don't want to see a team that's 9 and 3 playing a team that's 12 and 0. They don't care.
Yeah.
We already know who's the winner. It's the 12 and 0 team. So the Camp Kinnerk playground justice theory. Greatest game since 200 years ago. Two 12 and 0 teams played each other. Indiana came out on top. It's your team. Congratulations, TK. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Douglas. I can't take much effort to say what I did to cause the team to be so good. But there are a lot of people there in Indiana who bleed the crimson, and I'm just happy for all those people who supported the athletic program, especially the football side of it, because they had been the doormat, and now they're the door that's opened up to a whole new horizon.
Well, TK, you're very humble, but I am a big believer in the chemistry of the team coming together. And so, you being a longtime fan, and you're from Indiana, uh, without you, they wouldn't win. You know,
Yeah.
So your humility is beautiful, but you are an integral part of the team. There's the players, the coaches, the support staff, the bus drivers, on and on and on and on. And then there's the fans. There's the fans. And they won because of TK Irish.
Well, yeah, it's a team effort. That's all I can say. It's a team effort. We all came together. We all did our job at the time we needed to do it. So, hey, sweetness is success, and success is a Big Ten win.
And most importantly, beer tastes colder and girls look prettier when you win. TK, that's what I have for today. Go Cowboys!
Aaron Gobraw.